Say there, buddy boys, I see that you're spending time together whilst playing a game. And while there's nothing wrong with that per se, don't you think this experience is one which could be improved?
Introducing online multiplayer! You think your fellow smelly couch potato wants to sit next to you in your disgusting BO? Of course not! Your friendship would benefit from being as far away from each other as you can. Play a game using the internet! Wait, what am I saying? You're a gamer, you don't have any friends! Instead of trying to resuscitate your non-existent social life, play with random strangers! I'm sure you dweebs will have a ton in common to geek out over.
Is this your first time playing League? Because you're terrible! Uninstall the game and never play anything else ever again, you noob!
Why are you charging me to play this game online when I could be playing it on PC without having to pay for online?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was talking to someone who's so poor he can't afford basic utilities. Get a job!
But I have a job.
Not a good enough one if you can't afford to give a multi-billion-dollar industry even more for a game you already paid full retail price for. Online multiplayer. Play online or not at all!
Before we get into the meat here, I'd like to give some background as to why I even chose to talk about online gaming. I'd like to knock some possible misconceptions aside just so that you know where it is I'm coming from on this. First of all, I actually do play games online every so often. Recently, I've been playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and while, yeah, it is great to play with friends who live in another state and use voice chat, I still ran into all kinds of problems. Granted, I do play on Wi-Fi because my TV and systems are in one part of my house and my modem and router are in another part of the house simply because that's where my internet connection is. And that's not Sony's or Tribute's fault that I have a less than optimal network connection. It still doesn't help online play look any better, but I'll get into more detail regarding that later. I could go after low-hanging fruit and bring up trash talkers and people who stalk or spam you, but I feel like we've matured past that point, and incidents like those are much more the exception rather than the rule. Finally, I think the main reason I'm making this video is I do sometimes get tired having to explain myself anytime I mention to another gamer that I don't like to play online all that much. Just like I think it's quite alright if you want to spend most of your game time playing with others online, you should be okay with me spending most of my time offline.
Okay, so let's just jump right into one of the major complaints about online gaming. It just isn't that good. I really don't care what your setup is. If you have gigabit plus internet using an amazing router wired in via Ethernet inches away from the hole in the wall, the connection will never be as fast or lag-free as local multiplayer. I'd be willing to wager 20 years from now it's not going to be much better either, since it hasn't really improved in the last 20 years. There will always be a degree of lag that simply doesn't exist in a local connection. Now, for some genres, this isn't a problem. Racing games seem to pull off online very well. Same goes for anything turn-based, but fighting games or shooters, not so much. Competitive play online can be a nightmare since you're at the mercy of an internet connection which can ebb and flow in speed and ping rate regardless of your setup. When Super Smash Bros. Brawl first came out and I hooked up the Wii to my equipment via Ethernet using the LAN adapter, it was the laggiest, worst experience I've ever had playing a video game. Next complaint, if you're gaming on one of the 3 major consoles, you're paying to play online. This wasn't always the case. Microsoft began to charge for online play during the days of the original Xbox and have been charging for it ever since. Sony, to their credit, didn't begin charging for online multiplayer until the PS4, and they at least have improved the service since they began charging for it by providing dedicated servers. When Nintendo began charging for online with Nintendo Switch Online, it was and is the cheapest option of the three, but it simply unlocks a peer-to-peer connection between other Switches. You're not connecting to Nintendo's servers and playing a match hosted on some cloud like Sony and Microsoft manage their online services. You're just connecting across the internet to other Switches instead of a server, which results in a far worse experience. You may be thinking, well, as long as Microsoft and Sony are using the revenue to provide a better experience, they should charge for it. You should know that most online PC games don't charge to play games online, while providing servers to host the game, at no charge. If PC can do it, why can't Sony and Microsoft? I'm not a PC gamer, but if I did play online, of course I would go PC since I wouldn't have to pay an extra fee to play online. I shouldn't even have to say this next part since it's simple math. The more money you spend on gaming services, the less money you have to spend on gaming hardware and software. Call me crazy, but I can't justify paying for anything which doesn't even work that well in the first place. This next one is probably the least egregious aspect of online gaming, and it certainly doesn't bother some gamers since it's more subjective. But I can't stand playing a game on someone else's schedule. No offense to anyone I play games online with, I just like to jump into a game when I can, if I can, and not worry about sending anyone a message asking them if they're available to play, and then wait around for them to possibly get back to me to let me know when they are free. Truthfully, I get anxious when I get asked to play a game online when I'm in the middle of something else that I can't drop right that second. Again, this is more a problem with me than anything else, but it is there nonetheless. On the other end, I used to hang out with a group of friends who were all gamers. We would have game nights fairly frequently, and some of these friends would show up with their laptops so they could join their scheduled raid with their World of Warcraft clan while the rest of us would play all kinds of couch co-op games that we all had a blast with. Since when did gaming become more like a bowling league? It might just be my personality, but I hate to schedule the time when I am allowed to have fun. I should be able to jump in and out of whatever game I have access to whenever I please. This one may be the worst condemnation of online multiplayer, but it's a sad, sad truth that many gamers all over the world know all too well. Online parts of any game have a limited shelf life and could go away with little or no notice. I bought a PS3 game when it first came out called White Knight Chronicles. In it, you can create an avatar that is part of the story, but you can also take your avatar online and play with other people doing quests. The online feature was only active from December of 2008 to June 2013. 4.5 years. Some games get only a couple of years of online support. When this happened, I thought, great, the one game I played online and wanted to keep playing online is now offline only. Fantastic. Also, I'm no trophy or achievement hunter by any means, but I know there are many of you who are. My question is, whose idea was it to lock certain trophies and achievements behind online multiplayer? Now that White Knight Chronicles is offline, there are some trophies that are simply beyond reach. Since I didn't focus on playing the game intentionally on chasing the platinum within those 4.5 years the online was active, I'll never be able to if I decided one day to try and get the platinum. There's no other way to say it, it just sucks that online features for many games cannot be maintained for more than a decade it seems. Unless you're playing on PC, which seems to have a better track record with online support. None of these complaints I've lobbed against online multiplayer apply to local or couch multiplayer. There's no lag that comes and goes at the whims of the internet. There's no extra cost. I get to see and hear the person I'm playing with in perfect clarity because they're there in the room with me. Yeah, split screen play may lead to screen watching, but you could always LAN up a couple of consoles or PCs to get around that issue. The fact is, All my games I currently own that have single and local multiplayer support will always allow those features to work no matter how old they get. Unless there's some nefarious DRM lurking around unbeknownst to me. I'd rather invest my time in experiences that are permanent, not transient.
I don't understand why anyone would be just fine with paying to play a game on a service that has a shelf life. Some games don't even have local multiplayer and are online multiplayer only. And I'm not referring to MMORPGs which are built around online. Some of my criticisms apply to that genre while others do not. I'm talking about racing games, shooters, any game that would rely on split screen to make local multiplayer work, but it simply doesn't have it due to how prevalent online multiplayer is. In many ways, the internet made our lives better, but when it comes to multiplayer, I'd say we were all better off in the same room playing together. The way Pac-Man intended. This is Steven with Level 1 Sword, sending you a friend request with a game invite and party chat asking you to stay sharp out there.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to keep on top of the videos, definitely take a sec to subscribe. I'm also on Twitter, Instagram, and Patreon if you want to follow me across the internet. Level 1 Sword also has a bi-weekly podcast, so give it a listen.